What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another DFSArmy Bold Calls season-long fantasy football podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Allen, a.k.a. the Fantasy Football Geek. I got Alan Sislowski, a.k.a. Season Long Says, a.k.a. the Pleasurehead Rhymer, with me here, already doing Bestball leagues. It's 2 weeks from the Super Bowl, and shit's going down. Going down. Alan, you just told me that you're currently drafting a new Dynasty Empire Strikes Back league with Darth Vader. Apparently, this is the Empire.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck that is. And working some MFL 10 or Bestball 10 now, Bestball leagues, which I love as well. And I'm really interested. I always love to kind of see where we're at here 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, before all the spin, before all the twisting, before all the turning, and everybody convinces us that these fucking turds had a great season and we need to be all over them next year and all of that. So everything fresh in the mind, getting started, best ball leagues. And I actually have to say, before I get into that, this podcast is sponsored by Fantasy Draft, rake-free fantasy football, rake-free fantasy sports, rake-free everything. Why would you ever pay a rake of 15% when you can get your DFS action rake-free? It's like if you had a bookie and one guy had everything with no vig and another one is charging you 15% every single bet. Anybody can bet at least break even with no vig. That's what Fantasy Draft is up to. Join there. We're posting in the comment section here and in the DFSArmy Slack a really, really cool free roll for tomorrow, Monday, February 10th. 10 Fantasy Draft t-shirts available. We threw in a free month of DFSArmy Beat the Bookie service, which is awesome. $50 value.
Just to be clear, by the way, hello. Good to see you back again for fantasy football. How you doing? How are you? But yeah, what the Geek is talking about right now is we're doing a free roll for Fantasy Draft for NBA Monday night. So we're going to post the link as soon as we're done with this. And if you win, not only do you get some free cool gear, but you're going to give away a month of Beat the Bookie of Sports Bet Army.
Yeah, Beat the Bookie over at Sports Bet Army. So the Beat the Bookie insider service where you get picks from Statsational John, you get Fight On's picks, you get Anthony Peace picks, you get to chat with Season Long Says here about your bets. So really, really cool service. Check it out. First place. We'll post it in the comment section here, and of course in DFSArmy Slack as well. We're always trying to do free rolls and other fun things for our members. Now let's talk about best ball leagues, and we'll call this a continuation. In our previous Bold Calls podcast, we did kind of our version of round one of the 2020 sort of very, very early fantasy draft rankings. So we can kind of expand on that because there are best ball leagues now live. So you've got a pretty good heads up on who is going where in actual time. And I do have to say, and we're not sponsored by them, but like the contest on that Best Ball 10 thing is pretty cool. They have a $50,000 contest that will run and complete before the actual NFL draft, which I like because it doesn't put a massive disadvantage for starting these early. And who among us isn't excited to draft even in February? So you've done some of these best ball leagues, Says. Tell me what's going on like in the top of these first couple rounds. Who are people taking and what are your thoughts? And are there any surprises that you're seeing at the top of the first two rounds right now, February 9th, best ball leagues?
Yeah, so best ball leagues, I think I'm in like best ball. You know what best ball league I'm in? Because they number them. And by the time like we get deep into them, you're in best ball league, like 8,000. I'm in best ball league 23. I'm in the
You're 20 person.
I'm in the 23rd launched best ball. Okay. So I'm like, I'm in the Christopher Columbus Explorer for this season. All right.
Like the ADP is like whatever the guy before you took. Like the ADP rankings is like Three, and it's the same 12 guys in the first 22. You know what I mean?
but it's interesting because the people that are playing best ball this early certainly are around the calendar best ball players, and they are, there's some sharp drafters in there, and I'm surprised that I'm not surprised about how aggressive they're being on certain players. So what I'll do here is I'll just read you the first 5 picks that went off the board. No surprise, but then there's a surprise. In my draft, Christian McCaffrey, Barkley, Elliott were the first 3. You and I had a long debate about should Elliott be the 3rd pick. I think you challenged me on that. Then I made the case and you came around that he's the safest pick on the board. And then pick 4, 5, and 6 was Kamara, Joe Mixon at 5, and Dalvin Cook fell all the way to 6.
I have major problems with that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start there. I think that's a good place to start because I think we're going to see something like this in a lot of drafts. The first 6 picks, running backs, which part specifically is giving you a little itch?
I mean, I got a problem with all of it. First of all, Kamara has shown this season that he doesn't bring first-round draft pick upside to the table. I'm sorry. He gets 15 carries a game. It's not enough. He didn't do enough this year to secure that position. The Saints clearly want to run him out there with the second guy, and it's just not enough. The touchdown equity is not really there. He's not in the game on the goal line. There's so many reasons why I don't like Kamara. But Mixon is even... How are you taking any of these guys? I get we like running backs, but how are they taking... to not take Michael Thomas, who is so consistent, at the wide receiver, never gets hurt.
He did go. So he did. I want to stop you there because that's a really good point. It's a really good point. And I think that it's because there's some uncertainty, I think unfounded, that Drew Brees won't come back. And I would say he's, if I was betting, I would say he'd come back. And
I love that. I love that uncertainty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's how we got so much reek last year.
That's how we profited.
Tyreek Hill, when everybody else had some uncertainty. I was like, okay, you guys worry about that shit. I'll be taking Tyreek Hill in the 5th round. And it didn't help me that much. He was hurt, but the move was the correct move. Now, so I got a problem with that. I have a problem with Joe Mixon. This is another fucking guy that's playing on a losing team.
Right.
You don't want running backs.
Can I make the case? Can I make the case?
I mean, you can, sure. Go tell me why I should take Joe Mixon from a losing fucking team. He had 3 good weeks this past year. All came at the end of the season.
Okay. So, and you know, and you and I often have these debates and we convince each other. So, that's what I love. That's what I love best about talking to you is that you have an open mind about this stuff. Now, if you drafted Joe Mixon last year, somewhere early in the 2nd round, middle of the 2nd round, you didn't make the playoffs. And then when Joe Mixon started coming on, it was a little too late. It was a little bittersweet. But what you and I often talk about, what a savvy strategy is on the players that disappoint. Let's take a look at the last 4 to 6 weeks of what they did in the season, literally week 12 forward. And at that point, Joe Mixon started coming on. Just listen to his fantasy points. And I'm just going to do PPR points over the last, let's call it since week 10 forward, right after their bye. Okay. After week 10, he went 17, 17, 8, 17, 27, 18, 9. Okay. Decent. A little bit more in line with RB2 production with some RB1 upside. Now, hear me. This is the last part of the case. Their 1st round pick, they drafted an offensive lineman in the draft last year. He got hurt in the preseason. He's coming back fully healthy. So in addition to presumably drafting Joe Burrow, who should be an NFL-ready QB, he's about age 24. He's not the typical 20-year-old Sam Darnold that has to develop. And getting another 1st round pick back with a stud offensive lineman, I think that helps Joe Mixon build on what was, a lackluster season. That said, pick 5 feels a little rich, but I still think he belongs in the 1st round.
I mean, isn't Joe Burrow going to take some of those goal line carry? They got a running quarterback there.
He's mobile. He's not a running quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback, Joe Burrow.
That's what they said about Mahomes.
Yeah, I would say he's not as mobile as Mahomes, but certainly, right. Right. Mahomes isn't a running quarterback either. He's a mobile quarterback.
I mean, it feels like the Devin Singletary situation. Why wouldn't I just take Devin Singletary in like the 4th round or the 3rd round and get the same shit as you're taking here with the 5th pick overall? It's just all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how is that different from a Devin Singletary?
Okay, yeah, Devin. Well, okay, so you bring up a really good point because we discussed Devin Singletary this morning a little bit, and Devin Singletary, we're skipping around a little bit, but he would be a first round pick in fantasy, except he's got a major problem, and that is that his quarterback, is going to touchdowns, right? So
this is what I'm saying.
Devin Singletary.
We know that Burrow's not that guy.
I don't think he's not Cam Newton. He's not Pete Cam Newton. He's not Josh Allen. He's just a mobile pocket passer.
Right.
I'll come up with a better comp. So, and you'll as we get into this process, we'll massage that out a little bit. And that's why Devin Singletary will likely be a 6 to 9 touchdown guy a year. He'll never be a 14, 17 year touchdown. In the comment section, we saw a couple people talking about asking for some tips about best ball, and we're going to do a best ball 101 coming up. We did it last year. It was a really successful podcast, so we'll do that, and you'll hear some strategy tips as we go on, and that leads us right back to where we were in the first round. That I think in these best ball drafts, running backs go a little bit earlier than they would, I believe, that in redrafts, because that of the format, how you could stack wide receivers that you don't have to pick their best weeks, and that the running backs with job security dry up pretty quickly. And again, there's your first tip. So
one of my, and just to talk a little best ball, and that's one reason I do understand the Mixon thing, because I crushed fucking best ball this past season.
Yeah, you had a good season in best ball.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah,
and ridiculous. And my strategy's always been the same. I feel like kind of like what you said. You can load up on volume of wide receivers late that are all playing. And that's the difference. They're all they're on the field. So in the 7th, 8th, 9th round, 10th round of best ball drafts, you're getting WR2s from teams, like not names that you're in love with, but names that can emerge. Like last year, I was getting AJ Brown in round 14. I was getting Marquise Brown. Guys who are going to be playing and on the field all the time, very late. You can't find running backs that are going to be on the field. It's late in the best ball draft. So what you're ending up with when you do that is a bunch of backups that you hope an injury happens, that they'll kind of be thrust to a starting position. So for that reason, in best ball in particular, there is merit to loading up on running back early, get 3 starters. I always try to get 3 legitimate starters. And then maybe a handcuff or 2 for those guys. So 5 total. And then I could just load up on my tight ends, on my wide receivers, and have a lot of volume and just hope that, the 1 week of, Chris Davis going off, or the 1 week of, some rando, you catch those 3 or 4 weeks where these random secondary wide receivers go off, like Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. I mean, you said it. That's the path least resistant to victory in best ball. And Mike Goff in the chat asked. He said, he's having a hard time as you are with getting Mixon in the first round. He said it's hard to believe someone that was getting dropped is literally back in the middle.
I don't like the play. I still don't like it. You didn't convince me he's a first rounder. Not a pick in the first round.
Yeah, I think, again, I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be presumably a little bit better. And, we won't go through it again. I already made the case. I think Mixon's certainly worthy of a first round pick. Dalvin Cook was taken after him. Obviously, I would not do that. I would take him before. But, we'll hit this topic plenty of times, but yeah, it is amazing. And we got to kind of dismiss what happened last year. It was a really bad year for the Bengals. Just like, there's going to be last year's bums that we like again this year. Like Baker Mayfield is a QB that I'll be very interested in as ADP. Odell Beckham at his 3rd round ADP. I know these are guys that
Odell. I can't take it. Fuck Odell.
Yep. No, I understand, man. It's, when these guys burn you, it's hard to go back. All right. You want me to give you a little bit what happened in the second half?
Yeah, let's continue through. So we got to what, 6 or 7 or 8?
6. So it was McCaffrey, Barkley, Elliott, Kamara, which we both don't think that's too early, and I agreed with everything you said there. Mixon, Dalvin Cook was 6. Michael Thomas went 7th. Okay, so here's the last 5 picks of round 1. Nick Chubb went at 8. Derrick Henry went at 9. 2 receivers at 10 and 11 with Hopkins and Tyreek Hill. And then Aaron Jones was the last pick of the first round. I know you're high on Derrick Henry for good reason, even in PPR leagues where he doesn't catch a ton of passes. Where are you feeling about Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry? Nick Chubb got a lot of that work siphoned away when Kareem Hunt was there. I mean, again, there's so much uncertainty right now.
It's not clear that Kareem Hunt will be back.
Right. But you're willing to take Nick Chubb in the first round at that point?
If I knew Kareem Hunt wasn't coming back.
Well, you don't know that. You're drafting today. Would you do it?
I don't hate Chubb. I think Chubb still has a strong role. I like him a lot more with no Kareem Hunt there. I like Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is my favorite of that group. There's no reason. He's such a high scorer when he has his big games. That's what we're looking for in best ball leagues. Jamal Williams, oft injured. So you can expect a few of these solo games from Aaron Jones, and you can also really comfortably handcuff him. I like running backs in best ball. I place a premium on having a premier handcuff because if I can lock it down with Jones and Jamal, if I can lock it down with Cook and Alexander Madison, if I can lock it down, everybody's like, what about Boone? No, fuck Boone. Alexander Madison. If I can lock it down, then I feel better about that than even having like Zeke Elliott you mentioned. He's got a very, very clear handcuff, right? So Pollard, right? So when you have these guys, I don't know who the fucking handcuff is for McCaffrey. I don't know who the handcuff is for Saquon Barkley. Gallman, he might not even be on the team next year. But these other guys, they have clear-cut backup. So I place a premium. I'd rather pay more or even take a guy sooner if I know in best ball that I can back him up with a guy that if he goes down, because best balls are all about injuries and riding out injuries. If I can back him up and say, hey, I've got a running back position locked up. I've got these two guys. I can feel confident. I've got a starter there putting up points every single week. Don't have to put up 30 points, but as long as they're putting up points every single week for me in that spot, I don't get zeros. I've won every best ball league that I've ever been in where I wasn't getting zeros.
Yeah, no, that's a really smart strategy.
Not that they won. I'm sorry, I've cashed in them. You don't win it. That's how you cash in them, right? To win it, you have to also have some good picks, but that's how you cash in them. No zeros ever.
Absolutely. I mean, and you know what? You can, you're going to get a zero here and there, and it's going to happen. But like you said, when it's week 9 and you're out of tight ends, it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, all right. Now, Aaron Jones is a player that you and I have debated a lot. I think he is solidly in the first round. There's a couple players that went in the second round here that I think should be in the first round of best ball drafts specifically. And you and I talked about this. This running back, Austin Eckler, is just being totally grossly undervalued by the market so early.
Is he going in the second? I don't even see him ranked.
Yeah. So as I said this morning on another podcast that sometimes when I'm doing my early season rankings, I like to check with Mike Clay of ESPN just as a sanity check to see where I'm at, because he's been really good at projecting. And he has Austin Eckler as like a late third round pick. I have him as like a top 7 or 8 overall player. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people expect the Chargers to draft another running back or sign another running back. Even if they do, which I don't even think they will, Austin Eckler had 90 catches and 1,000 yards rushing pretty much. I mean, that is a modern day NFL star running back. It doesn't even matter if he ends up with like 150 carries. He is going to be gold. I'm going to be scooping him up at pick 12, 13, 10 if I must, all day long. Are you with me on Austin Eckler here?
Yeah, I love Eckler. Now, I have concerns about Phillip Rivers being gone, and I think it's a valid concern. With Phillip Rivers gone,
well, he wasn't good. He wasn't good.
He, for 10 years, for 15 years of his career, has produced, all the way back to Danny Woodhead, a player
Darren
like
Sproles,
Austin Eckler.
What's that? Even before Woodhead, Darren Sproles.
Frizzles.
Yeah.
Danny Woodhead. Eckler. He's always produced. It's something about his style.
Right.
That produces quality performances from the sort of pass catching running back position. So what we don't know, and it introduces a serious level of mystery, is this new quarterback, who we don't know who he is yet, is this new quarterback going to be capable of the kind of check down game? It's not a check down game. I talk about this all the time in our season. I feel very strongly about this. They don't treat the running back like other teams. They run patterns with him. They're legitimately this is not a check down. This is a designed play with the running back running. It's similar to Aaron Jones does this a lot too, which is why I like him, where they're using him like a wide receiver. Christian McCaffrey does that a little bit. The difference between a Christian McCaffrey and aside from the talent level and an Aaron and an Austin Eckler is McCaffrey is all running like a real running back, and he's more talented. But they're running those plays like a wide receiver, so he gets that double down wide receiver running back action, which I just like that. I want that out of my running back, and he scores a ton of touchdowns. I think if Rivers was coming back, I'd have him right at the top of the first round, maybe top of the second round.
Yeah, I mean, and it's going to be interesting to see who indeed ends up as the Chargers quarterback. Right now, it could be, they could draft Justin Herbert in the first round, and he could sit the bench. He could start. Tyrod Taylor might start a few games there. I mean, we've all heard that Tom Brady would be a consideration there. We just don't know. Either way, if they're ready to part ways with Philip Rivers, you got to presume it's going to be an upgrade or there's a plan.
I don't know how we could presume it. I don't know what. I have no idea what they're going to do.
I mean,
I don't know what are they going to do? Seriously, what the hell are they doing?
I think there's a lot of options and a lot of good ones. People are always, a lot of people are quick to say, "Oh my God, there's no quarterback." But even if they draft a rookie, Andy Dalton is a free agent. Why can't he start somewhere and be a bridge QB to somebody? You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of good options. I'm confident in Austin Eckler is just that he fits the modern day, what a modern day NFL running back should be, and that's an elite pass catcher. And in fact, I'd venture to say that Austin Eckler is probably the best pass catching running back in the NFL. Maybe Alvin Kamara is up there with him, but he's certainly the one or two. I mean, just
on the list. I mean, again, McCaffrey, and there's some others.
McCaffrey, yeah, obviously.
All right.
How can I forget?
Let's push through because we want to get too excited about one player.
Yep.
Let's push through here. Give me kind of the rest of who's going in this first two rounds of the Best Ball League that you're in.
So, so we just rounded out the first round. Now I'm going to give you the first 6 picks of the second round. So the guy who took Aaron Jones would pick 12. He picked twice. So he went, Travis Kelce was the first pick of the second round. Devontae Adams fell all the way to 2.2. Josh Jacobs, Leonard Fournette, and Eckler were the next 3 running backs. Mm-hmm. And the 6th pick of the second round was Miles Sanders.
What? All right. So
again, Kelce, Adams, and then the 4 running backs.
So I mean, obviously, what's coming through for those people who are watching, who are listening, who are checking this out, and who are asking about best ball strategy, because really we're players and we want to play something now. We want to play best ball. You're seeing a massive run on running backs, like we said, and again, this happens every year. It's really, really good to do a lot of these best ball leagues because I'm kind of flabbergasted. I'm going to use a word, flabbergasted at Miles Sanders being on that list, but
we were high on him last year. Remember, we had him ahead of Josh Jacobs in our dynasty
rankings. I'm not arguing the talent. I love his talent. My issue with him is he's on a team that does not feature a running. They won't feature one guy unless the other guys are hurt. But I'm surprised about that. But what we're seeing here, and this is the more important component of it, is the run on the running back position, and it's not done foolishly. This is a smart way to play best ball leagues. You need guys who are going to be out there and starting, and you'll see as you play in these types of leagues, again, you get to round 5, and it's gotten beyond players who are starting, and now you're talking about I'm trying to think of names like the Bilal Powell types, or in
the 5th round, you're talking about running backs.
Who's the backup to who's the other running back in Denver? Freeman's of the world. That's who you're taking there.
Yeah, basically, when you're looking at a 5th round
second guy in an RBBC, basically.
Yeah, I mean, so this year there's actually a little bit more value in the 5th round with running backs, but again, they're all guys with question marks, which really is your point. So there's guys like Raheem Mostert, Kerryon Johnson, David Montgomery, David Johnson's going to be a 5th round running back. Philip Lindsay, Darius Geis, James White. These are the type of names. Sony Michel is going to be a 6th round pick. So you're right. All these guys have super big question marks. You're hoping they're your 3rd running back, but chances are they're going to be your 2nd running back.
And that's the thing. So that's the reason why in a best ball league, you can reach for running back way earlier than you even, because you can't pick one up. This is very different from in a normal season-long league where we would say, listen, there's going to be 3 or 4 running backs that emerge as actual running back. Like that emerge that you'll be able to pick up off waivers. You don't want to be passing up on Michael Thomas for Joe Mixon. It's crazy. If you play DFS, look at the salary. You have a 10K salary guy in Michael Thomas versus a 6K guy in Joe Mixon. I don't give a fuck what happens next year. That's it's way too big of a discrepancy that you're giving up way too many points by doing a move like that, and it's too speculative. So let's get into the second. Where's Chris Carson going? What about some of these guys that might or might not have a role next year?
Yeah, so Chris Carson is smack dead middle in the 3rd round. He's going around other players that are in the neighborhood of him right now are an unrestricted free agent in Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, both went ahead of him. Chris Carson, the guys that go after him right now are Damian Williams, Marlon Mack, and then the rookies start flying off the board in the 4th round along with Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, and the rookies are super speculative, but there's 3 or 4 of them. I don't want to get too deep into rookie discussion. We have a lot of time.
There's 7, right, and we're going to do that. And there's 7 rookie running backs we like, but there probably 2 of them will land in ideal best ball spots,
and we won't know who those guys are in advance. But really good rookie class, and there'll be stuff going on. I actually think it's very interesting how to deal with the rookies when you're doing these pre-draft best ball leagues on Bestball 10 or whatever that site is. Because getting the right rookie is going to be very, very important, I think.
And
you're getting them some of these guys will be first rounders come real MFL drafts. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I mean, like last year at this time when I was doing best ball, I was getting Josh Jacobs in like the 9th and 10th round. And, I'm trying to think so Miles Sanders was like a 15th round pick. And, even though that kind of didn't pan out until the end. But yeah, this is the time to get into best ball. The value is there. People don't know what to make pre-landing spot, and some of them will work out, some of them won't. Again,
it's just such a big deal that this contest, this big 50K contest they're running, ends at the draft. Like, it doesn't give an advantage to people. I wouldn't want to get into it if they're saying we're going to run it up until August, because at that point, if I drafted now, I'm at such a disadvantage over people drafting later.
Well, that's why they do it.
Yeah. So like to end it before the draft is really sharp because we can sort of test. Now, somebody in the comment section said they're on a budget. You don't want to lock up your money for 8 months if you're on a budget, man. This is going to be like a full year until you get paid out for these things. So this should definitely be your fun money. It's like a futures bet on the sports book where sharp gamblers will say, don't do that. I do see reason for it, but don't tie up your money if you're on a budget to where like putting $100 in best ball leagues in February hampers you, and that's it. And now you're done because you're gonna have to wait a long ass time to get paid out on that. So just a little comment there.
Well, in the interest of keeping these off-season pods at around 30 minutes until we do into a full positional breakdown, the last thing I want to talk to you about is the Dynasty startup draft that I'm in right now. And what I need you to do is I need you to help me with where I am. Now, this is the selfish part of the program where we only talk about me and I only talk about my draft.
No one wants to hear shit.
I know, but I'm going to now the listeners that are listening to this freaking podcast at this time of the year are in these stupid dynasty drafts.
Can I just say real quick for the guys who are listening, Dynasty Fantasy Football is awesome. And I strongly recommend that you get into a dynasty league. It's kind of where season-long fantasy football is going a little bit. And like it's just the game is becoming more complex, more intricate, more involved. Dynasty fantasy football is year-round, and it's basically a format where you draft a team, it becomes your team forever, or within some set of rules. It's kind of like keeper league, except you keep everyone. So your startup draft is really, really important. And then after that, the only real way to add players is through trades or rookie drafts. So, very important to note that in this dynasty league, of course, age of the player, how many seasons they have ahead of them, all of that stuff is a consideration. So
bet on talent.
Bet on talent. And so that being said, give me your dilemma.
Yeah, well, first of all, just so you know, I'm at the 6th. I picked first overall. I started into super flex, so quarterbacks go super early. I took Patrick Mahomes with the 1.1. We had some debate about that, but I'm on the 6-7 turn right now. Okay, so I get 2 picks, and by the way, someone just wanted those 2 picks from me. You know what they offered me for my 6.12 and 7.1? They offered me 2 12th rounders. I don't know what the logic is in that. why they would offer that, but they also said, okay, you can take my second rounder in the rookie draft too. But all right, that aside, well, I'm gonna have to talk to the kid. He's a nice guy. D Heggs in the league. He's a nice guy, but I'm gonna have to set him straight later. All right. So far I've drafted
that. Somebody just offered me like it was like it was so stupid. It was like the first round pick for like Christian McCaffrey and I'm like,
you and I are in a very crazy dynasty league together where there's a lot of cockamamie offers.
Oh my gosh, the cockamamie offers are
out
of control.
All right, so this is what we're gonna do right now on the live on the podcast. You are gonna help me think through this. I always defer to your logic. I think you have a really sound dynasty mind. You've won our dynasty league a couple times. You always are competitive in all the dynasty leagues, and it's because you are conservative when you need to be and super aggressive when you need to be. And you have a lot of discipline and patience, which is a requirement, not a virtue. It's a requirement in these leagues to be patient. Okay. So that said, I have a quarterback, 3 receivers, and a running back. Okay. Very deep league. Tight end premium. Is this the spot where I go? Are you looking at the board?
Let me bring up the board.
6-7 turn. Now, you and I talked about a couple players. Quarterback is already drying up. I don't know whether I take my second quarterback right here and force the issue. Running back seem to be a little bit easier to find over the course of a season. There's still some really good running backs on the board. Do I take a tight end here? I'm really lost because no matter what happens, I'm going to have some FOMO.
Did you take my boy Deebo Samuel? That's my boy Punk.
Yep. You see where I took him? That sent the room on major tilt when I took him.
You know who I'm taking right here, right now?
I know you're going to. Yep.
The Dreezy himself.
Yep.
Kenyon Dreezy, the starting running back and future number 1 our first round draft pick 2021. The Dreezy himself.
Yeah.
You can get your second running back. He's young, not much mileage on the top. I see you've got, all right, so I'm looking at the draft board. Mahomes, great. You didn't listen to me.
Well, you wanted Christian McCaffrey there, right?
I know. I was okay with Mahomes. I did want Christian McCaffrey, yes, but I'm okay with Mahomes. Then you've got DJ Moore. Didn't listen to me again. Took Miles Sanders. I recommended Dak Prescott at that point.
You recommended Dak, or you told me Aaron Jones. You were good with that.
Aaron Jones as well. Love Aaron Jones. Went a few picks later.
25 years old, touchdown regression, a certain possibility.
Don't care.
Okay, you still love him. Got it. I understand.
He will regress. Don't care. But I would have taken probably Dak Prescott. So you're down a quarterback, and now you need running back and depth. You got 2 picks here. You liked on my 4-5 turn. You approved of the catch TMC Terry McLaurin and Debo pick, right? 22 and a 24-year-old receiver. I can only base it around who went after him. I would have loved if Kenny Golladay would have dropped to you. You didn't get there. You took Terry McLaurin. You passed up on Devin Singletary. You passed up on Keenan Allen. I don't like anybody who went after. I might have considered DK Metcalf there, but no, I'm really cool with who you got there. I'm just looking at who went next. All of the good quarterbacks are now gone, so that's a shame. Allen Robinson went very late.
Very late for a 26-year-old receiver, could play with bad QBs. He's proven that. That was way too late for him.
Michael Gallup, I don't like that pick. So just ahead of you, I'm just looking at some of these picks. Cooper Kupp.
Shark at 6'10" was a good pick. I like that.
You're in trouble at tight end. I think you can get Austin Hooper at some point. I don't know.
He might be gone already, man.
No, I do not see where he was taken. I really like.
Oh yeah, he was picking at 3'11", Austin Hooper.
Oh fuck. All right. It's difficult for me. I'm looking at a draft board. I don't see players available in this format that you gave me. He's already gone. Oh wow, look at that. Man, I was on the right guy then. But you're going to have some trouble at tight end. I don't see where you're going to have anybody good left. Are you waiting? I just have a hard time taking Taylor Higbee at this point. And if
Tyler Higbee, you don't like Tyler Higbee?
I do like Tyler Higbee. I just don't want to take him now.
It's tight end. It's tight end premium. So you have to remember.
I'm not leaving the Dreezy on the board.
Right.
To take Higbee. I think you got to take Dreezy here.
Okay.
And then maybe consider a quarterback. I mean, who's the quarterback that's left? You're in trouble.
You could take one of the older guys. No, you're not into it. Okay, listen, this is what this is a league of very sharp players. This Empire Startup Dynasty League, Boardwalk Empire, they call it. It's a league of sharp players. You're going to have to reach for your guys. I mean, that's just what you're going to have to do. Very cool league, by the way. If you haven't played in an Empire Dynasty League, these leagues are where 50% of the pot, more or less, goes into the main pool, 50% goes into the Empire pool, and that Empire pool rolls over every year until somebody wins it twice in a row. Then they get the big windfall. After the Empire pool is won, the league disbands and they redraft again. So it can go on for 15 years or it can go on for 3 years, the league. You know what I mean? You just got to
get Statsational on, man. He loves these crazy game types.
Yes. Yes.
John, he does love these crazy game types, and he would like that. But it's a long wait until you get your money.
So you're making one of the league members very upset. Mike Goff is saying don't do it. He wants him. But yeah, I mean,
you've got a league member here listening into
these guys are sick, man. These guys are sick in the head, man. I'm telling you.
Now you know you better take the Dreezy.
Yeah.
There's no one else.
All right, brother.
Can you take Swift? Can you start taking rookies? I mean,
well, we have a separate rookie draft.
Okay, all right. So you can't. All right. So anyway, let's wrap up. Talk about your fucking league. No one cares.
No, that's it. We already did it. We talked about it. No one cares. That was it. All right, man. So why don't we wrap here? We did a good solid 35 minutes. We'll be back next week, and we can do that best ball strategy draft. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, let's get a little deeper into best ball strategies.
Yeah.
On the next couple shows. Listen, we've got a whole off season to talk about this stuff, and it's really hard to jam it into one. It's really hard to jam it into one 30-minute sort of video.
Yeah,
but based on the success that we've had in best ball leagues, really there is a strategy to these. There is a way to approach them. They are money makers, and I love them. I just like fantasy football, and it's much more like season-long fantasy football than what daily DFS feels like, which has a lot of other shit that you have to account for constantly in DFS. Where this, we can really, it feels so pure. Just feels so pure, just like pure fantasy football.
Yeah, this is my favorite time of the year, is the off season. You know, sometimes when the games start, it's like your head spins. You know, I mean, you know better than anybody. All right, man. So just tell the people super quick. Let's do it in 30 seconds or less. How to sign up for DFS Army. How to hit up our sponsor, Fantasy Draft. Do you the best at the plug. Do it quick.
Stuff. So as always, DFSArmy.com. Get signed up as a VIP. We've got NASCAR going literally right now. MMA. NBA is going nuts. We had a 40K winner last night. It's like every day. UW won 40K. Unbelievable. 50K, actually. And it's just every day in NBA. We're going to dominate NASCAR. We always crush MMA. MMA was horrible last night, but we are going to crush it as we always do, even if last night's card was tough. And just all these off-season sports are going strong. If you go to DFSArmy.com, you sign up as a VIP, you can use my promo code GEEK and lock in 20% off. In addition, if you're into sports gambling, sports wagering at all, you want to chat with Alan, you want to chat with John Statsational or Fight On 2016 or Anthony P and get their bets. Every one of them, we track these bets. They're at 55, 58% for different sports. You could choose who you want to bet along with. You could just get ideas. They write in extreme detailed breakdowns for every pick. We're really teaching the process of sports gambling over at sportsbetarmy.com.
And just to make it clear, John, Ryan, and Anthony, they're the experts. I'm just a casual.
No, just to chat with Alan about it.
Yeah. Just, they're the ones that have these maniacal models, and they're just insane, those three coaches. I'm learning from them. I'm fixing leaks in my game based on what they're doing over at Sports Bet Army.
Models-based picks. We're not just some cowboy hat wearing guy named somebody the Greek giving out the fire picks. These guys have analytical models that are back tested. We test everything. It's really awesome stuff. No one does it for the price we do. You want to get something like this, you don't have to pay like $200, $300, $400 a month to have guys like that sort of sharing their models and their picks with you. So it's pretty awesome. We want to do this for DFS Army members. We want to make it accessible to everybody. You can also DM or whatever it says at Alan Staslowski on Twitter and ask him about how to get in there. We got lots of free month promotions going for that stuff. And of course, don't forget to check out the fantasy draft free roll that we're putting out there. It's going to be great. Win a t-shirt. It's win free month of Beat the Bookie. We're going to put links here in the description of this video. We're going to put links out on Twitter and of course in DFS Army Slack. We will post them tomorrow Keg, tomorrow is Monday. Keg will be doing a fantasy draft takeover of his daily NBA breakdown show, where he will also discuss the free roll and some potential picks for tomorrow's NBA slate. So lots of great stuff coming up. DFSArmy.com. Sign up as a VIP now. Do it now before we raise those prices in the offseason.
All right, man. You said it all. Good hanging with you, and we'll do it again. I'm going to go rush to my TV to watch this second XFL game. I really am. All right.
And grab those players before MGoff 32 gets them.
Yeah, I am. All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right.